Hi everybody, how's everybody doing? Well, it's sprinkling a little bit. I think I am the only one out here right now, but it's such a beautiful day. Hear the birds. I don't know if you guys can hear them in the background or not, but nature, isn't it a beautiful place? Beautiful, God's landscape, definitely, amazing. Feel very blessed. I feel very blessed to be here with you guys today. So we're working on talking about part two of being a godly woman. We talked a little bit yesterday. Well, actually, a lot about Leah. Really told about her story. Went into Jezebel and talked about Ruth and how she was really there for her mother-in-law as she was grieving and coming to God during that time. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to read about Leah in the Bible and also about Jezebel, but you will see the difference, right? And then, like I said, if you read about Jezebel, you know what I mean, that she had a very gruesome death at the end. And like I said, if you read that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're moving on today. Yesterday we talked about the first thing about really being a godly woman, embodying it, and that was the devotion to God, that loyalty that we have to God, going to God with everything, right? When we feel, because some days we just feel, I want to say bad, right? Maybe the day's not going well. You're really trying to be positive, but you find yourself going. So you're going to God in all those moments. You have the devotion to God, the loyalty to God, knowing that you can get through it with God and that you can get through anything and that God is there with you. You have that great knowledge, right? You have that great understanding that God is everything, and your devotion to God just means so much, being a godly woman, going to God with everything. Yes, that was the first one. Talked about that yesterday too. Moving on, guys, to the second one. And the second one, being a godly woman, is you understand that grace through God. You understand it, how it comes from, inside of you. It's really guided, or it's rooted in a gentle and kind spirit, a compassionate spirit. We are warriors in that way, right? Because the world will tell you have to go out, you have to look a certain way, you have to present yourself a certain way. If you want to get out there, you have to be seen, right? Well, God just wants you to see everything through His eyes. Not for everybody to see you in the world, for God to see you. And for God to bring that grace into you. So you're a warrior in that way. A warrior that you're not doing everything the world tells you to do. You're not going out there and doing it like the world tells you that you have to do to be a woman, right? You're using those guidelines through God. Being a godly woman, coming from that humble place and realizing what a gentle and kind spirit you have, right? And at times that's hard to do, because people may see you as being meek, are not saying up for yourself, not even realizing that you go to God, like we said, having that devotion to God, going through God for everything. And it's not being meek, it's just surrendering it to God, submitting to God. And that is so beautiful. It's your love, right? It's your love. You're humbling yourself. You're not prideful. Like I said, you're that powerful warrior. You forgive. You come from that place of grace. But at the same time, you have that discernment of who to give that grace to. God doesn't always tell you to give it to everybody, right? Because that grace is so precious, right? Because it comes from God. So it's a gift. So in order to give that gift to someone, you're guided to do that, right? Because that precious gift, priceless. And God has that discernment to tell you who to give it to, who extend it to, and then you feel it with that love. Like, who is deserving of that, right? Because if it comes from God, it's so beautiful, right? Let Him guide you as who to give that to. See who is not ready for it, right? Because sometimes when you give that grace, you give that love, like we talked about with Leah too, she didn't get that back in return. It's very hurtful, right? We all have feelings, right? It's very hurtful. We're still coming from that place of grace, giving it to God, and seeing too, through that discernment of sometimes when that happens, how we are blessed through that too, right? Just like with Leah, right? Also, the next one is we are wise and courageous, coming from that warrior, that warrior with God again. We have incredible strength and humility, right? The strength comes from God. Going through those things that we thought we could never get through, there is the strength. There's understanding of the crisis, right? Some of us have been through such horrible, such disheartening things. But we understand it, we move forward with God. We realize that we lean on Him during these times. We have the warrior inside of us, and understand that as we move forward, there is a persistence there. The ability to keep going because God is there with us. That persistence is etched on our heart. That warrior is etched on our heart to keep going through those times when things seem so awful, are so disheartening. We keep on going because we realize that God has a purpose for us, that He loves us so much, and it guides us to keep going and to not give up. All right, so the fourth thing and the last thing is that we do not let ourselves go idle for too long. So there's a few parts to this. We do not let ourselves go idle and too long in those thoughts. I'm not good enough. Why don't they like me? Why don't they see me? Why are they talking to me? And on and on and on, right? You could really start going with that, and that can be paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. So God's saying that as a godly woman, you don't sit idle in that. You keep on. I think that's the most thing. Keep on going to God with that. I'm feeling this way. I know that I am God's child first. I know that I am beautiful through God's eyes, and I'm going to claim it, right? So if you're feeling that, really claim it, that you're beautiful. You are God's child first, and that you are here for a reason. There is purpose in your persistence right now, in you going through everything, right? But don't be idle and sitting back and keep on thinking about that. It's just those lower spirits coming into you, and we're going to say no. We don't want those, right? Because it doesn't make you feel very good. Go to God, ask Him to uplift you, see how He made you beautiful, right? Inside and out. Right, being idle means that you are the creator. You bring birth into the world. You are that creation. Think of yourself that way. How beautiful is that? You are creating the world with God. So don't be idle. Be in those creative moments. Be in those moments where you are living your purpose, going out there with God and doing it. I have to be honest with you guys that God has guided me here, and I'm so happy to be here. But every time before I make a video, I get very, very nervous. I do. I do. So I have to really go with God before I get on here, because my nerves seem to just go all over the place. So I go to God. I take that knowledge from God, and I ask Him to help me, and it always works. Okay, so I'm going to say keep going. If you feel a little bit nervous, or you're feeling like maybe you don't feel like you're always picked to do this, but realize that you are amazing and you are beautiful and you're right where you need to be. All right, and that's what I said. You're in that purpose. You're not sitting idle for too long with those thoughts. You're really moving forward with God. So this is a shorter video today, just talking about those four things about being a godly woman. Tomorrow I'll come on and I'll talk about, end it up with the 4 Bible verses that talk about a woman in the Bible, and talk about a godly woman, or godly women. So here's to all of us, being those warriors, going to God and seeing how special we are. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Blessings to everybody. Bye, everyone.